All right. Be seated. Come on, Abigail. Come on, yeah. Good morning, boys and girls.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Wonderful. Today in the church, we celebrate something called Pentecost. Can you say that for me? Say Pentecost.
Pentecost.
Say it together. 1, 2, 3.
Pentecost.
Do you know what Pentecost means? Yes, Sam? Not quite sure. All right. Well, for the Christian, it means the coming of the Spirit. God's Spirit. Whose Spirit?
God's Spirit.
And that took place 50 days after Easter. How many days? 50. What comes before 50? And what comes after 50? 51. So how many days after Easter? 51? 50? You sure? How many days does Pentecost come after Easter? 50?
50 days.
Yes, 50. So, for the church, it represents the coming of God's Spirit. God had fulfilled His promise to send for us a comforter. How many of you have ever seen God's Spirit? You? Where have you seen it? Where have you seen God's Spirit?
I'm telling you that God's Spirit never ends.
God's Spirit never ends. That's true. You saw God's Spirit in someone? What did you see in that person?
They were like nice.
They were like nice and kind. That's, yes.
I didn't see God's Spirit in someone.
Yeah. They helped someone get up once they fell. Well, you just stole my sermon. I'm done. Yes, that is very good.
One day, I have a ratatouille movie, and in a ratatouille movie, when a rat comes back to a kitchen, he has a kitchen where, and when he comes back to a kitchen, his kitchen where they sweeping and morning time, and the rat.
You're telling me about the Spirit?
Crawl and the chef's hat.
I tell you what, Scott, you go in the pulpit and you can preach from there. You want to do that?
And he pulls his hand and do something. He has a walk and he makes you do something silly.
Who's that? Who's that?
What?
Who does that?
A rat?
A rat. Okay.
A rat?
But not a rat, a spirit. God's Spirit. That's what I want to talk about.
From Ratatouille.
Okay.
Guy.
Okay, thank you very much. So, in the story, listen to this one now. In the story, we are told the Spirit appeared like tongues of fire. Have you ever seen fire before?
Yeah.
No, and what does fire do?
It burns.
It burns and it gives what? It gives off heat.
And a fireman comes and pins and squad a fire out.
Yeah.
And smoke comes out.
He puts the fire out and smoke comes out. But this fire cannot be put out because it's God's Spirit, right? And we're told that it not only came like that, it sounded like a violent rushing wind. Have you ever heard the wind?
Yeah.
Loud and gushing?
Yeah.
What kind of sound does it make? Make that sound for me. That's loud? That's not loud. How does it go?
Really loud.
Woo, right? Like a loud sound.
Like woo!
Yes. So can you see the wind?
No.
Can you feel the wind?
Yes.
Yes. And isn't God's Spirit like that? That you may not always physically see God's Spirit, but you can feel His Spirit. And how do we feel His Spirit? Like you said earlier?
You can see it in someone.
You can see it in someone. And how do we see it in someone?
By being nice.
But when they're nice,
And sometimes
when they help each other. What about the ability? Have you ever done something that you have to say sorry? You ever had to apologize?
But don't know what to
When your friend is mean, what do you tell him?
I tell on him.
You tell on him. Okay. You tell the teacher, right? You don't want them to be mean, right? So if someone does something wrong to you, if God's Spirit is in you, what will you do? You will learn to forgive them, right? Are you going to hold it in? You're going to be mean to them? No. You're going to forgive and you're going to love, right? If God's Spirit is in you, you think you're going to be disobedient?
No.
You're going to listen?
Yes.
To who?
God and your parents.
God and your parents. Anyone else? Teachers?
Anyone who knows that, except for nobody who knows they're trying to take you away.
Right. You don't listen to strangers and
if someone's
trying to encourage you to do wrong.
If someone's trying to take you away, that would be time out. That would be not. That would be disrespectful to God.
Yes. Disrespectful.
Oh God! I think I keep it in my mind.
You forgot? Okay. All right. So, what I want you to know is that when God's Spirit is in us, we feel it, and it's kind of like a bubbling. And there's a song that says, "It's a bubbling, it's a bubbling, it's a bubbling in my soul." Do you know that song? I'm going to help you learn it. Right? I'm going to teach it to you. And that's what God's Spirit feels like when it's in us, so that we show love, right? Listen to me. It goes like this. It's a bubbling, it's a bubbling, it's a bubbling in my soul. I feel it. Right? No, it doesn't end there. Some folks don't understand it, but I just like to say, it's a bubbling, a bubbling, a bubbling, a bubbling in my soul. You think you could sing that with me?
Sure, yeah.
All right, yes. Try. True, do you know it?
Nope.
No? It says, it's a bubbling, it's a bubbling, it's a bubbling in my soul. And I'm shaking, and I'm singing, some Jesus made me whole. Some folks don't understand it, but I just like to say, it's a bubbling, a bubbling, a bubbling, a bubbling, a bubbling in my soul. See, it goes, I'm singing, I'm shouting, since Jesus made me whole. Some folks don't understand it, but I just like to say, it's a bubbling, a bubbling, a bubbling, a bubbling, a bubbling in my soul. That's what happened because I forgot some of the words too. But you get the gist, right? God's Spirit is a bubbling in our soul so that we can show love to each other. Let's stand up and tell the congregation. We can see God's Spirit.
We can see God's Spirit
When we listen to Him.
when we listen to Him,
When we obey Him.
when we obey Him,
And when we love others.
and when we love others.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much. Great job.